Alright, what is up, guys? Today it is Hudson coming at you with the Shadowlands Frost Mage overview. So initially, what I was going to do with this video is I was going to go over like all the base changes for Frost Mage coming into Shadowlands, and then branch off into like the different covenants, their signature abilities, how they affect Frost, and then go into Legendaries and stuff. But while I was making the video, I realized that like there's really not that many changes to Frost baseline. There's like one change with Winter's Chill. So I'm gonna maybe put that stuff towards the end, or just include it in the comment section, right? So I guess I'm just gonna get right into the Covenant abilities and how they affect the Frost Mage rotation. Okay, so getting into the Covenants. I already went over Conduits. I might touch them in this video, but if I don't go over the Conduits, please go check out my other video because I went over all the conduits. I might mention them in here, so if I do mention them, please refer to that last video that I posted. But getting into the covenants, the first one's Necrolord. Necrolord, I think it's really cool. It's like of Maltraxxus, and I think it's really cool thematically. I would probably pick this if there were no abilities tied to him. I'd probably just pick Necrolord. I think it's the coolest. They're like name explains itself. Necrolords. But its ability is Deathborn. Its ability looks sick for arcane mages. For frost mages, it doesn't look that sick, right? Essentially, it makes you a skeletal mage for like 20 seconds. It increases your spell power by 10%, and then your main ability, like your filler ability for frost and fire, which are frostbolt and fireball, cleave. But then for arcane, you're like your spender, arcane blast cleaves as well. So like it's not equal for those three. But for Frost, there is some playability with it, right? Because essentially, if you're cleaving, if you're single target, you just do your normal rotation and get the 10% spell power bonus. But if you're cleaving, you can just spam Frostbolt. Spam Frostbolt, and hopefully you have the 15 Frostbolt legendary on, right? So 15 Frostbolts equals 1 frozen orb for you. So every time you cast 15 Frostbolts, you get a frozen orb, and you're just spamming Frostbolts at these enemies and cleaving. So like that, it's like, if you have to pick this for Frost, like, I wouldn't suggest picking this as your main one for Frost, if you're trying to min-max, but if you're playing it as Arcane and want to play Frost off-spec with it, that's how you're going to probably have to do it. And I guess the pros of this is, like, Deathborn kind of pairs up well with Icy Veins, so, like, that might increase your damage a little bit when there's the base 10% spell power during that time, so maybe that's a little bit good. I haven't really played it too much because it wasn't really much fun, and it doesn't seem like it will be very good. But that's that, and I guess the cons are that it's super lackluster, really boring rotation, and overall it's just I just would not pick this if I can help it, right? If they don't buff it for some reason, I will probably not be picking this covenant. So Night Fae is the fairy covenant, right? They're the ones that are like little fairies flying around and stuff, and you get a turn. It's like Covenant signature ability is where you get to turn into like a fox and like sprint around and stuff. But I guess let's get into the mage part of this. And the mage ability is shifting power. It does damage. It does AoE damage in its channel for 6 seconds. You just like it's like a faunt almost, but 2 seconds longer than a faunt even. And you have to be in melee for it to do damage, right? But the main effect of it is it has cooldown reduction, right? So for every 1.5 seconds channeled, it reduces cooldowns by 3 seconds. Okay, so do the math on that real quick. That ends up being 12 seconds off of your cooldowns, and it's the shifting powers cooldown's 45 seconds. So, if you do the math on that, you're getting your cooldowns reduced a lot. But I would say that Frost doesn't benefit as much as the other specs from cooldown reduction. So I don't believe that this will be as good for Frost. Again, this will all come down to tuning and what shows best in simulations, right? But personally, I don't like playing this. I don't like having to sit there for 6 seconds and not do anything and just channel. I thought that this was cool at first, because I like cooldown reduction and it seems good, like it seems fun, but Frost isn't super reliant on cooldowns, right? It's pretty steady. But if you do pick shifting power, I would advise trying Rune of Power because it gives you another cooldown to get cooldown reduction for, and it can be kind of good in that way. But other than that, there's not too much to say about this ability other than I'm not the biggest fan of it. but it might have its uses, and it might pull out to be the best Frost Mage Covenant, but I don't believe so. So Kieran's ability is Radiant Spark. And what Radiant Spark does is it puts this like debuff on the enemy, right? And it's dealing damage to them over 8 seconds. And during that 8 seconds, every attack you do puts another debuff on the enemy that increases damage by 10%, up to 4 stacks, right? And then it consumes it consumes them at the end. So you can only, so what happens is like the first attack you do with the debuff does 10% increased damage. The second attack that you do on the enemy with the debuff does 20% damage. The third attack does 30, and the fourth attack does 40, and then after that, it's done. Well, you would think that this would be super powerful for Frost Mage because it's on a 30-second cooldown, so relatively short, and you can buff a lot of glacial spikes. And I thought that too at the beginning. But it has like a weird interaction with Flurry, right? So it's tough to get those glacial spikes buffed at 40% increased damage because you need to get the glacial spikes also to shatter. So you need a flurry, a brain freeze flurry to do that. So it can be a little bit awkward. But I'm sure that people will figure this out at some point. I didn't spend too much time trying to figure out like how to best do this because I didn't find it too fun, honestly. And it felt like the regular Frost rotation was better, even. And maybe if you're using Kyrian, it might end up just being better to buff like 3 Ice Lances or 4 Ice Lances if you can, or something like that. But we'll see. The smarter people than me will be able to figure that out, and we will see. I suspect that this Kyrian ability will be relatively good for Frost compared to the other Covenants. Okay, so the Venthyr ability. It's Mirrors of Torment. I made a whole video about this pretty much, and what the Venthyr ability is cast on a target, and it gets these 3 mirrors around it. Every time the enemy uses an ability, it doesn't even have to cast or be an interruptible cast or anything. He just has to use an ability, consumes one of the mirrors. And the overpowered conduit that comes with Venthyr is each time a mirror is consumed, it gives you a 10% spell power buff. And you can refresh it, and it stacks. So it gets up to 30%. And that's just at rank 1 of the conduit. Once you get to rank 15 of the conduit, which we don't know when that will be, but once you get to rank 15, you'll be getting a 90% spell power increase, which is pretty insane. I would say that right now in its current state, that will be the best. That will be the best covenant for Frost Mage. But it will also be the best covenant for Arcane and Fire as well. So if it stays the same way, I won't be too upset. A lot of people will be upset because a lot of people don't like it, which is completely understandable. Fine to have your own opinions. But be aware that this is currently the best one. And right now with Frost, I would say that Frost doesn't benefit as much from Venthyr as Arcane and Fire do, but I believe it's still the best. So if I were Frost, if I were going to be a Frost main, which I may be, I'm probably going to be deciding between Kyrian and Venthyr if Shadowlands beta went live like this. But there's going to be some changes, so stay tuned and check out the changes for sure before you make any decisions. Okay, so now on to the Legendaries. I'm just going to have this Icy Veins article up because it just shows all the Legendaries that I can go to. I'll link it in the comments. But I guess let's get into things. The class-wide Legendaries for Mage. Let's go over each of them and how Frost can utilize them. So, Disciplinary Command, casting a Frost, Fire, and Arcane spell within 10 seconds of each other, increases the critical strike damage of all your spells by 10%. This effect can only occur once every 30 seconds. This probably benefits, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't think this will be best for Frost by any means, but I don't think it's horrible. So, like, if you were to just get them randomly, like, you won't because you can craft them, but, like, say you were to get this one randomly, wouldn't be that bad, but it wouldn't be that good. I don't know. Kind of creative, kind of not. It's about that for that. Expanded potential. Your frost bolts have a chance to give you expanded potential, which causes your next brain freeze to not be consumed. So like it's like having 2 stacks of brain freeze. Like, like I don't really care that much. I don't think it'll be that good, really. Grizzly Icicle, your Frost, Fire, and Arcane damage against enemies affected by Frost Nova is increased by 10%, no longer breaks it. This is really cool, but the way it works currently in beta is other enemies' damage breaks Frost Nova, but like it leaves like a buff for Grizzly Icicle on it, like the damage buff. So it has some weird interaction. I don't know. It's better with Frost because you have Cold Snap. But we'll see. I'm sure someone might be able to find a playstyle with this, but I think there's other legendaries that will be better. And those are the Frost specific legendaries, and we'll get down to these right now. So, Cold Front. Casting 15 Frost Bolts or Flurries calls down a frozen orb towards your target. Hitting an enemy player counts as double. I think this is going to be good in dungeons with the Necrolord Covenant, if that's the one that you have to play with, right? I would not suggest picking that one to play specifically with this legendary, but this will probably be the best one for that covenant, or at least it has the most synergy right now. Alright, next legendary, Freezing Winds. While Frozen Orb is active, you gain Fingers of Frost every 2.5 seconds. While Frozen Orb is not active, each Frostbolt reduces the cooldown of Frozen Orb by 2.5 seconds. This legendary is sick. This is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. I think this is the best one as well. I think that what this does is reduce the RNG and the Feast or Famine playstyle, right? And I like this a lot. I like this a lot. Whenever you get Frozen Orb, you're just spamming your Ice Lances, and you're getting a lot of Ice Lance damage out, and you're getting a lot of CDR on Frozen Orb without having to pick Night Fae, right? So, I really think that this is the best legendary. I like the playstyle the most, and I'm getting the best damage with it as well. There might be playstyles based around the other legendaries, but like I said, I like this one the most. I was just trying this one out. If it goes live like this, and I hope it will. I think it's mostly balanced. I think it's good. I think it's fun. I like it a lot. So the next one is Glacial Fragments. It makes your Ice Lance like explode on the target and deal damage to other stuff, or has like 15% chance to explode and deal spell power to the targets around it. I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, it's meant to be like a cleave. A cleave legendary. Maybe we'll use it in Mythic Plus, but I just like the Freezing Winds one more. I don't know. And if Glacial Fragments is better for Mythic Plus, I guess we'll have to pick it, but like, I don't think it's that fun, really. Now, Slick Ice. While Icy Veins is active, each Frostbolt you cast reduces the time of your Frostbolt by 5%, stacking up to 10 times. So this one also could go with the Necrolord. I forgot to mention that in the Necrolord overview. But yeah, this one could also go with Necrolord, and you're spamming Frostbolts, like spamming. But we will see. We will see what ends up becoming the best. And I mean, that's about it for the legendaries. Nothing too exciting except for Freezing Winds, and there might be some playstyles created around the other ones. So that is mostly it for Frost. Not too much has changed, and I think their additions have been mostly positive, honestly. I like the legendaries that they've put in. I enjoy the conduits that they put in, and I like the current place that Frost is in. I personally believe I will be playing Frost coming into Shadowlands. My other option, I guess, would be Arcane, but I'm not enjoying the playstyle too much right now, compared to Frost at least. And I like the toolkit that Frost has, especially. But, you know, everything's subject to change, and once Sims come out, I might change my mind. But I advise you to do the exact same. Stay up to date with all the info. Be on Wowhead, looking up new info, be in the Mage class Discord. And I guess I just want to say thanks for watching my video. Please leave me any feedback. Let me know what you're thinking about Frost Mage right now. If you like the changes, the few changes they did. If you think you're going to be playing it, and really anything else. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.